بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيدنا محمد عبد الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن اهتدى بهديه واستنى بسنته وتبع هداه إلى يوم الدين وبعد. So alhamdulillah, this is our 40th session, and up until this point we have covered 45 majalis, 45 discourses of Sayyidina Shaykh Muhyiddin Abd al-Qadir al-Jilani radiallahu anhu. And as we have mentioned a few times previously, there are certain themes that we sometimes see as patterns in the discourses of the Shaykh, notably that we should turn wholeheartedly towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that it begins with knowledge, discursive knowledge, learning our deen properly, learning the tenets of faith properly, learning the conditions and obligations and so forth of our acts of worship and any other affairs that we are dealing with, such as if one is married, then you need to know the fiqh of marriage. If you are in a business, you need to know transactional, commercial, Islamic law, and so forth. And then to put that into practice. So al-ilm thumma al-amal thumma al-ikhlas, and then to be as sincere as possible in doing those things. And then finally, al-istislam, to submit wholeheartedly to the ahkam, the divinely decreed circumstances that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends your way. So we're up to the 46th discourse. So we'll just read right off from the top, where he says, رضي الله عنه: الدنيا سوق من قريب ينغلق، أغلقوا أبواب رؤية الخلق وافتحوا باب رؤية الحق عز وجل، أغلقوا أبواب الاكتساب والأسباب في حال صفاء القلوب وقرب السر فيما يخصكم لا فيما يعم غيركم من الأهل والأتباع، فليكن الكسب لغيركم والنفع لغيركم والتحصيل لغيركم واطلبوا ما يخصكم من طيف فضلك، واقعدوا نفوسكم مع الدنيا وقلوبكم مع الأخرى وأسراركم مع المولى، إنك تعلم ما تريد. وقال رضي الله عنه: القوم أبدال الأنبياء، فاقبلوا منهم ما يأمرونكم به فإنهم يأمرونكم بأمر الله عز وجل ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم، ينهون بنهيهما وينطقون فينطقون، يعطون فيؤخذون، لا يتحركون حركة بطباعهم ونفوسهم، لا يشاركون الحق عز وجل في دينه بأهويتهم، اتبعوا الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم، اتبعوا الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم في أقواله وأفعاله، سمعوا قول الله عز وجل، وما أتاكم الرسول فخذوه وما نهاكم عنه فانتهوا. So he says here, the world is a market that will soon be closed. You must lock the doors of the contemplation of creatures and open the door of the contemplation of al-Haq, the Lord of the Truth. You must close the doors of acquisition and material means, al-asbab, and enter into the state of purity of heart and nearness of the innermost being, the sir, that which is special to you, not that which is commonplace for others among your relatives and attendants. The earnings should therefore be for others, the benefit should be for others, and the income should be for others. You must seek what is specially for you from the tray of His bountiful favor. Seat your lower selves in nufus with this world, your hearts with the hereafter, and your innermost beings or asrar with the Master and Mawla. Surely you know what you wish for. So that first part, radiallahu anhu, he kind of gives us a little bit of, again, a blueprint for how we should think about al-kasb, or how we should think about dealing with the dunya and earning a living, and what should be, where should our hearts be, or during that whole thing. And I think this is often confusing to people because it seems like there is this general prescription within the deen of dhamm ad-dunya, which means, to see the dunya as kind of an accursed place, and that one should not really take part in it. But then at the same time, we see that we are certainly within the dunya and are actually to go about our lives and to live, we do have to take part in it. So the dichotomy here that I think he kind of alludes to is between that which is you're doing for yourself and that which you do for others on one level, and where your heart is, and then where your limbs are on another level. So remember, Sheikh, when he talks about awliya, and other scholars as well, you get the impression that it need not be someone who has a particular look and is living in a cave somewhere and is just praying and holding a sibha and making dhikr, and those are the awliya. And then people who are out in the world, who driving a cab or running a business or running a school or what have you, don't really have much nasib to being amongst those people because they're busy with dunya and life. That's not the impression you get when you read Sidi Abd al-Qadir, or when you read Shaykh Abu Hassan al-Shadili, or as related by Abu al-Abbas al-Mursi and Imam Ibn Ata al-Sakandari and Abdul Wahhab al-Sha'rani and others, or read the books of Mustafa Bakr al-Siddiqi, or even the Ahya al-Ghazali to some degree. There is this idea that you can still be in the world but not of the world. You can be partaking in it. You can be from the zahir, from outwardly you look like everybody else, and no one is the wiser to what your internal state is, and you may not actually be doing any more nawafil, any more sort of extra supererogatory or extra acts of worship than, say, someone who's doing much more than you, but they don't have necessarily the same internal state. So he's saying it's more about where is your focus, where are your dreams, where are your aspirations, what are you, putting your energy in. And so he kind of gives us a little bit of a scale to look at. So he said, if there's kasb, there has to be, then make the intention that it's not for you, but it's for others, right? To spend on your family, to spend on those you're attendant to, as he states, those who are in need, to fulfill your obligations of zakat and also of supererogatory sadaqat. See yourself as, and we said this before, as a distributor, as someone who's the imana, the trust has been put before you, and so you have to faithfully carry out that trust. So you can think of, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the accounts are his, the khaza'in al-Rahman belong to him, the treasures of the Rahman belong to him, but he has given you the responsibility of signing the checks and making sure that these amanat, these things that are trusts, are then distributed and go to their rightful owners, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed there are rightful owners, or there are rightful recipients. And you are not necessarily the one who is kind of holding your own destiny. We see in the Quran often, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ وَمِمَّا كَسَبْنَاهُمْ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُم وَمِمَّا كَسَبْتُمْ. يعني these ibarat, that which you have earned, that which you have been given, from amongst that to infaq, tunfiqun. You give and you spend of that way. And if you make it about this, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you not just abundance in terms of how you see your risk, but he'll give you abundance and generosity of soul, rather than it being about indulging oneself. So that's why I said, فَلْيَكُنِ الْكَسْبُ لِغَيْرِكُمْ وَالنَّفْعُ لِغَيْرِكُمْ, and the benefit for others. That's why we have this principle that's called al-ithar. And ithar means to prefer others to yourself. And they said specifically fi hudud and nafs, right? In those things that are kind of seen as creature comforts, or things that don't have really a bearing on at taqarrub ila Allah, things that are not seen as a method or a way of being close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So someone is jostling with you at Target or Costco or Carrefour or Lulu Hypermarket or Sainsbury or Tesco. I hope I covered all of them. Can't remember all the different supermarkets. And and they want to get in front of you in the line, or maybe you both are there at the same time. And alas, this is hadhi nafs. Hadhi nafs means who cares who goes first. So, you let them go first, and not that you want anything from them or expecting a thank you or anything like that, but هذا مبدأ الإيثار, right? So that the nafa, at least you took some benefit and you gave it to others. Who stands first in the buffet line at the community iftar? Same thing, if uncle wants to go first and he has his eye on the samosas and there's like two left. خلاص حظ نفس يعني you let uncle or auntie or whoever go first, and I guarantee you, if you do it, you will feel a type of raha, a type of ease, and a type of ladha. I can't think of a better word. Or there's a type of pleasure in it that you have to keep in check as well, because sometimes you can let yourself go too far, and then you see people seeing you doing that, and then you like people looking at you and thinking you're some type of humble guy or humble gal or something like that. So that also has to be kept in check. But generally speaking, في حظوظ النفس, مبدأ الإيثار. This also applies to things like yielding to people on the road. Someone's trying to overtake you, letting people go first, that sort of thing. So these are all kind of حظوظ نفس. بخلاف القرب. So the qurba is that which is seen as getting a means to close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you manage to get to be in the front row in the masjid to pray, then you should stay in the front row. You don't necessarily have to give your spot up to somebody else who's kind of equal standing with you. That's not majal, that's not the arena of hadhi nafs, because it's not an allotment of the nafs. There it's something that is a qurba ilallah. And perhaps this is the verse in the Quran was referring to this, وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسِ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ, right? And in this shall they find this tanafus, right? This competition. Even though the Quran also reminds us, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَكُمْ افْسَحُوا فِي الْمَجَالِسِ فَافْسَحُوا يَفْسَحُ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ, right? And if someone is coming to the majlis and there's nowhere to sit, and you want to listen to the sheikh or the teacher, and this person wants to sit too, افْسَحُوا لَهُ, make up space for them, right? And so, yes, it is qurba, but for them to have the comfort of sitting somewhere, that's also can be seen as that thing where you have ithar. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you comforts in the dunya, has given you ease. Then the mabda, the principle, is to share that with others in as much as you can. And everyone is going to have a different kind of constitution for that, how much they want to share, how this and so forth. But the idea is try to make a habit out of it, a worshipful habit, not just a habit that you do habitually, but something you do with intention. And it's also a good principle to instill within our children, right? Children, especially between probably when they first start interacting with other children in like the playground or play dates and that sort of thing, from, I don't know, 4 or 5 years of age, maybe 3, up until probably pubescence, maybe 11 or 12. It's very competitive. Everybody wants to have the same toy, and they don't want to give it up, and now it's my turn, and why are they taking my turn, and all that sort of thing. And I think once they get to sin al-tamyiz, which is the age of discernment, and we're talking about 7, because that's when the Prophet ﷺ said you can start to teach them how to pray, you can also start to teach them some of the adab, some of the etiquettes. Like, it's good if you let your cousin or your friend or your brother or your sister play with the toy first, and then you can play second. Allah loves that. You can say something like that. It's a very nice thing, and then they'll be so happy too, and you'll still get to play with it anyway. But think of how happy you'll be when you make someone else happy. Teach them the principle of, I can make somebody else happy, and it's quite easy to do that. All I have to do is give up something that maybe my desire, but it's not all that important anyway. وهكذا. So, and it's something even we as adults should take to heart as well. And then the next part where he says, I didn't read that yet in English, and he said the Shaykh also went on to say, the people of the Lord, Ahlillah, are the deputies or the Abdal of the prophets and Anbiya. So you should accept the instructions they give you, for they will tell you to do what is commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger, and forbid you to do what is forbidden by Him. They are made to speak, so they speak. Things are given to them, so they take. None of their movements are motivated by their natural impulses, their tiba', and their lower selves or their nufus. Not because of their passions, ahway, do they participate with al-haq in his religion. They have followed the Messenger ﷺ in his words and his actions. They have heeded the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran. Whatever the Messenger gives you, take it. مَا أَتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. And whatever he forbids you, abstain from it and keep your duty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I apologize for drinking in front of people who haven't broken their fast yet, but today my throat's a little bit dry. So here in this part, he's talking about authoritative scholarship, and not just any type of scholarship. He's actually talking about, I would call it something like authoritative mentorship. So not every sheikh or someone who calls themselves a sheikh or an imam or anything like that is necessarily fi hukm al-abdal, right? And someone who is actually has reached a maqam of tasfiyah, a maqam of purification, now that their acts are mahfuz. So he's talking about hifz, in other words, preserved. They're not masum. They can make mistakes, and they do. But in terms of hifz, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has preserved them and protected them from generally making the type of mistakes we'd associate with people we would not follow. Yes, and these people exist. And unfortunately, in kind of the latter period, we've seen instances of where people who make such claims or others make claims about them and they don't really live up to that, and then some type of scenario occurs, and even what you can call abuse, misuse of people's trust and things like that. But the operative principle here, and he says it here, that we should bear in mind, is that they follow the Kitab and the Sunnah. They follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the operative verse in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ati'u Allah wa ati'u ar-rasula wa ulil amri minkum. So ta'a is repeated. In other words, it says be obedient to Allah and to His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the verb is repeated. So it means if you follow the Prophet, it's like you're following Allah. And obviously following Allah is following Allah. Wa ulil amri minkum. But here the verb is not repeated. It doesn't say wa ati'u ulil amri minkum. So it's conditional. And it's conditional on the first two, that they are following Allah and His Prophet. And so the most important thing then is that we try to be at a level of knowledge when we can pick up on red flags. So, we were looking for a mentor or someone who's kind of a senior, wiser figure to help us work through some of our nafsani khawatir, some of our kind of egotistical inclinations and thoughts, and we want to know, are we doing the right thing? Am I thinking about this wrong? Largely what people go to therapy for today, I think, to a degree. This used to be kind of pretty much enclosed within the Islamic, so to speak, ecosystem, and people had, wiser people, especially people who were learned, to consult on such things, on such affairs. Nowadays, it's much more difficult, not as easy. Nowadays, many who seem to have mashayikha, to be a sheikh, are not quite in tune or well versed with like life in general. They don't know. Some of them may not know what a credit card is and how does that work, and the daily trappings of life that many of us have to contend with. They may not have been exposed to that. I don't have a frame of reference for that. So it is important that there is some sort of kind of familiarity with that, and also to be well versed in the deen, to be honest, to be sincere, and to have been also thoroughly peer reviewed. And we can say peer, PER, and peer, PIR. Those who speak Farsi or Urdu. So Sheikh reviewed. So there's peers. Their peers should have vetted them thoroughly, and they should be able to say, who are you and who said you can be doing this, and why, and all that sort of thing. And they said, well, actually, this sheikh and this sheikh, and I asked them, and I studied with them X number of years, and I studied with them this, and they feel comfortable that I should be doing this, and so forth. Before I started these Fath al-Rabbani, I saw permission from Shaykh Muhammad al-Jilani, Hafidahullah, may Allah preserve him and give him تأييد بروح وريحان من عند الله عز وجل, and he was very enthusiastic and supported the idea. Otherwise, I don't think I would want to put myself in this position without having the support of people like Shaykh Muhammad and others who we consider to be the best of our ummah. And if people are making kind of these decisions unilaterally and without giving much thought to their intentions, we always have to recheck, not just at the outset, the intention, but even throughout. You have to recheck your intention. And did you feel a little bit of jubilation because people are making comments and you kind of felt nice about that? And so this recheck of intention is important. And it's as they say, it's a process. It's and this sort of thing, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's not about how fast you can run through it. It's about sustaining your pace throughout the longer run of it, as it were, like a marathon. And inshallah, getting to the finish line, not necessarily first, but getting to the finish line, inshallah. So, so these people, they exist, and we need to be doing more as an ummah to support them, and I would say also produce them. We need to have dedicated people who are sincere, who are scholarly and empathetic, and have even the right aptitude to deal with the many different issues that our ummah is facing today. So there's one more kind of section here, then I'm actually going to move to the 47th discourse, inshallah, because this one is kind of short, so is the next one. So also kind of on the same thing, the same spirit of this type of rizq and akl al-halal. He says, إن الله عز وجل يحب عبدا مؤمنا مطيعا آكلا من حلاله يحب من يأكل ويعمل ويبغض من يأكل ولا يعمل يحب من يأكل بكسبه ويبغض من يأكل بنفاقه وتوكله على الخلق يحب الموحد له ويبغض المشرك به يحب المسلم إليه ويبغض المنازع له من شرط المحبة الموافقة ومن شرط العداوة المخالفة سلموا إلى ربكم عز وجل وارضوا بتدبيره في الدنيا والآخرة. And then the Shaykh talks about his own personal experience here. من أيام ابتليت ببلية فسألت الله عز وجل كشفها فزادني بلية أخرى فوقها فتحيرت في ذلك وإذا قائم يقول لي ألم تقل لنا في حال بدايتك إن حالتك حالة التسليم فتأدبت وسكت. So this is corresponding to page 277, kind of the fourth paragraph or so, right after the quote. You must worship Allah and support that worship through earning a lawful halal livelihood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves an obedient, believing servant who eats of what He has made lawful. He loves those who eat and work, while He hates those who eat but do not work. In other words, dependent upon others. He loves those who eat because of what they earn, while He hates those who eat Here, eat means like spend of your income. The translation kind of is awkward. So he hates those because of their hypocrisy and their reliance on creatures. He loves a person who affirms his oneness, muwahhid bihi, and doesn't like the one or despise the one who associates. Here, bughd is not hate, but it's to reject the action of such. Uh, Even in the Quran, we don't see that Allah yakrahu. It says, "Wallahu la yuhibbul fasiqeen." Allahu la yuhibbul kafirin. Does not love them, which is different than to say, "I hate them." He loves a person who affirms his oneness. He loves anyone who submits to him, and does not like anyone who quarrels with him. So the submission and musallim ilayhi, sallim ilayhi al-amr, right? Sallim ilayhi maqalidi amrik. Give him the reins. Don't challenge Allah and dispute him of who holds the reins. He holds the reins, right? And he's steering it, and you just have to fall in line. He says one of the prerequisites of love is in muwafaqa, compliance, and one of the prerequisites of enmity is contradiction, right? Mukhalafa. You must submit to your Lord and gladly accept his management, his tadbir, in this world and in the hereafter. This theme I've seen before. Then he says about himself, a few days ago I suffered an affliction, so I begged Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take it away. He thereupon gave me an extra trial on top of it. I was perplexed by this. But then there was someone saying to me, yani his internal voice, did you not tell us in the state you are in as a novice, your case is the case of submission, taslim? So I learned my lesson and held my tongue. So this last part, the Shaykh is describing what we would call a particular maqam. In other words, هو في مقام التسليم, which means even if he has an affliction, ومقام السكوت, right? And this is kind of it is a prophetic maqam. The Prophet ﷺ did make dua sometimes, and sometimes he would stay silent, depending upon his particular maqam that he was in at that point. And one is not necessarily better than other. Certainly the sunnah is to ask for Allah for whatever that you want, to supplicate and even to lift an affliction. But it's also from amongst the sunnah, and it also was the maqam of prophets before us, like Ibrahim, when he was in the Manjaniq, when he was in a catapult and he was being hurled towards the pits of fire by Namrud, and Jibril came to him and said, Alaka haja, do you have any need? He said, no, I don't. Amma minka fala, hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. I don't have any need from you. My need is from Allah suffices me. And they said this is the maqam of saying hasbi an su'ani ilmu rabbi bihali. So it's enough that my Lord knows my state, that in and of itself is enough, because my Lord is not one that needs to be reminded of what state I'm in. So am I reminding someone who forgot what's happening with me? No. If you do it with that intention, that's blameworthy. But if you supplicate with the intention, I call upon Allah because there's no one else to call upon, and this is establishing rububiyyah and ubudiyyah, that He is the Lord, He is a sovereign, and I'm the abd. And all the abd, the servant that they can do is ask, and then hope for their masters or their Lord's mercy. Not that I am requesting in a way and saying you have to do this, Allah, because I am asking you and I can't deal with it, so you have to take care of this type of thing. No, leave the ijabah, leave the answer up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is one of the hijab, one of the veils of dua, is that we have this expectation and we make the stipulation Allah has to answer in the way that I asked. No, one of the futuhat, call it, the openings of dua, is not to be attached to whatever answer is going to come your way. And that you see that the amal itself, the dua itself, is the answer. When you called upon Him, that was your answer. So you calling upon Allah is a sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give you your answer, but in the manner and in time that He stipulates. And then for others, the maqam of sukut, which is also okay. And then there's the hadith, I think it might come in the next one. Yes, it comes in the next one. من شغله ذكري عن مسألتي أعطيه أفضل ما أعطي السائلين. Whoever is busy with my remembrance, yani remembrance of Allah, it could be with the tongue or with the heart, yani I'm in hudur with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then I will, and then he's too busy to ask me, then I will give him more or better than that with the ones who ask. So I'll give them more than that one. هذا hadith Qudsi. This is a hadith Qudsi, and it's a good hadith, it has a good sanad. So that's a type of maqam. And Sayyid Abd al-Qadir al-Jilani, يعني نحسبه كذلك, he was من كبار أولياء الأمة, and he was on this high maqam. Wallahu a'lam. So let's just skip, I'll go right away to the 47th majlis and just look at some of that in the remaining time, 5 minutes or so. So from the top he says, رضي الله عنه, تعلم ثم اعمل أخلص تجرد عنك وعن الخلق قل الله ثم ذرهم في خوضهم يلعبون قل كما قال إبراهيم عليه السلام فإنهم عدو لي إلا رب العالمين اهجر الخلق وابغضهم ما دمت تراهم في الضر فإذا صح توحيدك وخرج خبث الشرك من قلبك عد إليهم وخالطهم وانفعهم بما عندك من العلم وذلهم على باب ربهم عز وجل موت الخواص موت من الخلق في الجملة وموت من الإرادة والاختيار من صحت له هذه الموتة صحت له الحياة الأبدية مع ربه عز وجل تصير موتته الظاهرة سكتة لحظة غشية لحظة غريبة لحظة نومة ثم يقظة إن أردت هذه الموتة فعليك بتناول بنج المعرفة والقرب والنوم على أحتبة الحق عز وجل حتى تأخذك يد الرحمة والمنة فتحييك حياة أبدية للنفس طعام وللقلب طعام وللسر طعام ولهذا قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إني أظل عند ربي فيطعمني ويسقيني يعني يطعم سري معاني يطعم روحي الروحانية يغذيني بغذاء يخصني في الأول عرج بقالبه وقلبي ثم بعد ذلك منع القالب وصار يعرج بقلبي وسري وهو حاضر بين الناس. So let's just do that. وهكذا وراثه على الحقيقة. So the Shaykh said, top of the 47th discourse, study then practice. Be sincere, be detached from you and from all creatures and say, as in the verse in the Quran, قُلِ اللَّهِ ثُمَّ ذَرْهُمْ فِي خَوْضِهِمْ يَلْعَبُونَ. Say Allah, then leave them to their idle prattling, to their frivolous things that they do. Say as Abraham alayhi salam said, they are enemies to me except the Lord of the worlds. إِنَّهُ فَإِنَّهُمْ عَدُوٌّ لِي إِلَّا رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ. يعني ربيني يكفيني. ربي يكفيني. You should keep away from creatures and regard them with repugnance as long as you see them as harmful. Well, as long as you feel like they can harm me, then you're not ready to be with them with your heart in the way and the manner of the kibar, right, of the greats of this ummah. Then when your affirmation of unity, tawheed, has become genuine and the filth of idolatry, shirk, al-khafi, the hidden shirk, not outward shirk, not shirk of polytheism of tawheed, but shirk of amal, of sincerity, then if that has left your heart, you must go back to them, be sociable with them, give them the benefit of the knowledge you possess, and guide them to the door of their Lord. Death for the elite, al-khawas, al-kibar min hadhihi al-ummah, means dying to the entire creation, dying to self-will, irada, and choice, and seeing the irada and choice as belonging to Allah, not to you. When someone has truly experienced such a death, he attains to the life everlasting, al-hayat al-abadiyya, in the company of his Lord Azza wa Jal. His outer death will be but a momentary stroke, a momentary faint, a momentary daze, a nodding off to sleep, and then an awakening. This is موت النفس, موت النفوس, وإحياء الروح, and then the awakening of the spirit. If you wish for such a death, you must take the benj, drug, or I would say, anesthesia, so to speak, of intimate knowledge, of ma'rifah, nearness, and then sleep on the threshold of the Lord of Truth until the hand of mercy, ar-Rahmah, and grace and minna takes hold of you and revives you to an eternal life. So there's like shughul qalb, right? There's some riyada nafsiyya, riyada qalbiyya has to take place, and a lot of that goes upon not wishing for anything except that what Allah wishes for you. So not having this, oh, I wish I could be this, I wish I could be this person, or I wish I had this type of family, or I wish I lived in this place, or I wish I had this. and always looking to the things that you don't have. This really burdens the soul, right? And it really puts an obstacle between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So al-rida bil qada means to be content to work in your life and work for the things that you think are important. Do that, but also to be content with what Allah gives you at the end of the day. The nata'ij, the results, you can't control. And to be in a constant kind of state of worry and anxiety and trepidation about the things that you don't have really, really will weigh you down and really will be an obstacle between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Kibar al-Awliya, they learned from our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, say Allah and then leave them to it. So he says the lower self, the nafs, has its food, the heart, the qalb has its food, and the innermost being has its food. This is why the Prophet ﷺ has said, I stay in the presence of my Lord, so he feeds me and he lets me drink. Meaning, he feeds my innermost being with significant values, ma'ani, and he feeds my spirit, al-ruh, with ruhaniya. So every aspect of you is going to get its qut, right? Qut means that which it needs, daily nutrition. So your sir will get something, the ma'ani, right? The things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends to you from al-ilhamat, inspirational things and realizations about the nature of this life and the world. He feeds my spirit, my ruh, with spirituality, al-ruhaniyah. This is al-uns billah, feeling close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he nourishes me with food that is specially appropriate for me, right, in your particular state. At first, both his outer form, his qalib, and his qalb were made to ascend, urija, right, Mi'raj, right, al-Isra wal-Mi'raj. And the majority of ulama say he went in body and spirit. Then after the outer form was held back and he began to ascend with his heart and his innermost being, his qalb and his sir, while he was still present among the people. Such is also the case with his warrath, his heirs, in reality, al-haqiqah, who combine knowledge, practice, sincerity, and the education of the people. Allah ta'ala a'la wa a'lam. I think I'll stop here.